Okay, so if you clicked on this video in hopes of watching me shit all over Phantom Blood, that's not exactly what I'm going to be doing here. My opinion on Phantom Blood differs from a lot of the community's opinion, so this video is going to be me diving into the most popular complaints from the community, and then me kind of offering reasoning as to why I felt it was done that way, and kind of just defending the source material, because a lot of the criticisms you'll see as we get into the video are somewhat inaccurate. Like, some of them I can agree with, but most of them I don't particularly agree with. So without further ado, let's just hop into it. So the first one I have here is Jonathan's character pretty much being a paragon. Now, what I mean by this is the fact that people think that the perfect gentleman thing is lame, and he doesn't have enough character development and enough, natural thoughts of his own aside from I want to be a gentleman. That's the end of the story. And when you're comparing it to the later characters that Araki's created, I can kind of see how he's probably one of the weaker characters, but to say that he has no character development and that he's just a paragon is just blatantly wrong, in my opinion. And I don't know if it's that they skipped the first part of Phantom Blood, because even in the first part, like, you see him, he's not a perfect gentleman in that portion, right? Like, it gets to a fact where he just wants to beat up Dio to be able to get back at him, and it's like, that's not exactly what a perfect gentleman would do. You see him being tormented by Dio, and I don't get the fact that he's not affected by anything that he's doing. Like, mentally you can see he's like getting pissed because he's like, oh my god, my brother that I tried to be nice to is literally taking everything and ruining my life. For example, and this is also pre-time skip, you see a lot of scenes with, Jonathan sitting by himself, or maybe one scene with Danny where he's just reflecting on, the fact that he was lonely and he's been lonely, and now Dio is literally taking everything from him. And the fact that Jonathan is able to freely express his emotion and kind of be a character who wears his heart on his sleeve is something I respect about the character writing in that aspect. And a fact that you have to remember about that time during the 80s in manga was a lot of the characters were, big, buff, burly, repressed, and they didn't really show a lot of emotion like Jonathan does. And just another fact to prove that he's not exactly a perfect gentleman is, when the kids they call him a snitch or something like that, and he literally jumps off the tree and punches him in the face. Granted, they knock him out with or not even knock him out, but hit him with a baton, but that's not something that a perfect character would do. Like, the perfect shonen character would probably just be like, oh, just leave it alone or something like that, but he gets down and punches that kid in the face. Now, I don't think there's any debate that Dio is a good villain, but when in reference to Jonathan, I think it makes him even better as well, because he pushes Jonathan to become that final evolution of his character, to become what he wanted to be when he was younger, because he was very impulsive when he was younger. And you even see post time skip when he finds out about his medication, he doesn't just go and try to beat Dio up or try to tell his father. No, he waits and he goes to London to get the medicine checked out to make sure that what he's saying is true and that he can actually prove the allegations that he's putting towards Dio. That's character evolution right there. So next up is the debate on Zeppeli's character. I've seen claims that people don't like Zeppeli because he is kind of like an ex machina, like he comes out of nowhere, Deus ex machina comes out of nowhere, and that he doesn't even last for that long, and he's a one and done type of character. He doesn't really have much character and doesn't really last for that long to leave an impact on people. And while I agree, of course, he doesn't last very long and he isn't really around for that long, the fact that he doesn't influence much on our main two characters is also just blatantly wrong. And of course we see this through Jonathan learning Hamon, but that's not the only thing that he helps Jonathan with learning. He instills Jonathan with lessons that help him keep his cool during battle and not to be so impulsive. And he's one of the characters that kind of influenced Jonathan to become the character that he is at the end of the part. And I liked how cool he was, how he showed up as just this guy putting salt and pepper on his sandwiches, and he just punches a frog and breaks a rock. Like, what? That was pretty neat. And another thing I like about Zeppeli is his dialogue with Speedwagon. And there's one scene where he just straight up punches Speedwagon in the, there's a lot of punching, just straight up blatant punching people in this part, but he straight up punches him in his diaphragm and messes up on purpose to make it seem like he was trying to help him unlock Hamon. So I don't wholeheartedly agree with this opinion, because I do like some of the dialogue Zeppeli has with the characters, and I do kind of like his character, but the fact is he wasn't around for too long, so I can somewhat agree with this point, you know, in comparison to like Speedwagon or Dio, of course, or any character like that. Next up, and as you'll see on this list, it's very common to for people to not really like how the characters were executed. But next character we're going to be talking about is Speedwagon. Now, when I first watched this series, I didn't really understand the Speedwagon memes either. I mean, I thought he was kind of funny, cool character and all, but I was like, is he really the best character in the series? Is he really that good for people to like him so much? And the answer, of course, is yes. Speedwagon is awesome. Speedwagon is the best character in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, period. No debating there. But in all seriousness, I think Speedwagon is a pretty good character. I like how he did a complete 180 from being in the alley. Honestly, I didn't see him joining Jonathan's team. Besides that, he was responsible for helping Jonathan to prove that Dio was a criminal, and he didn't even, you know what I'm saying, flinch when trying to shoot Dio. You know, Jonathan was scared to, partially because of number one, his character, and then number two, their background with one another, and he didn't want to actually kill his brother, but Speedwagon was there to back up Jonathan. He was like, look man, we got to get this done. And Speedwagon, I feel, was definitely made to be the audience's stand-in, you know, like how he reacts to everything is probably how we should be reacting to everything. Like, whoa, Jonathan can do this, or whoa, William Zeppeli is doing this crazy stuff, and he's kind of like a narrator in a way for the audience, and I really appreciate that. And it may seem like Speedwagon's care for Jonathan and the Joestar family kind of came out of nowhere, how he did a whole 180 in that alley, but I mean, in reality, like, he said he was a criminal who really no one believed in, and he's like, you know what, he could have killed me, and instead he saw the good in me, and he believed that I could be a better person and that I am a better person, and so he held his punches. And that's something that I think we can all respect, you know, when someone believes in you, especially when it's somebody you don't even know and nobody else in your life has ever felt that way, you know. And I think Speedwagon's like history of being a criminal is somewhat understanding, and how he only did that stuff to survive. And you even see later on in the series, which we're only talking about part 1 here, but just to kind of show off his evolution, he never reverts back to that. He never thinks about, you know what I'm saying, doing anything criminal like that, and he actually makes something of his life, you know, something that Jonathan could have done if the situation was a little bit different. So it's really, I think Speedwagon's character is really respectable and is somewhat realistic. You know, how someone could see a street rat and be like, you know, look, I know you're better than that, I know you can do better, and Speedwagon fits that criteria. So yeah, those were the biggest problems that I've seen people complain about with part 1, and you know, hopefully I was able to provide a little bit of insight, and this was more of my own personal opinion as to, or my personal reasoning as to why I think these were done, and why I don't think these characters were necessarily, you know, as bad as everyone says they are. So that about wraps up this video. If you made it this far, I want to thank you for watching. If you're interested in keeping up to date with me, follow my Twitter, Twitch, join a Discord, and hit that notification bell. And as always, if you have a topic you'd like to see me cover, drop a comment, and I hope you all have a beautiful day. I'm out.
Where are all the stands?
Why is Joestar Platinum? Phantom Blood sucks because it has pacing issues.
Is the lamest stand Spin is better than Hamon.
Is it Jonathan? It's just JoJo's Bizarre Adventure if it doesn't have a stand.